can always do is like have our voices heard and things like that. So voting, you know, and even like even I know this is not like everybody's bag, but like calling your representatives and stuff like that can make a difference. And you know, making sure that you're when you're voting for people, you're if you really value you know, conservation and these types of initiatives, you can make sure that that's part of the platform that you're voting for. So those are some things that are maybe not as expensive as buying, you know, locally hand caught salmon or whatever you're doing. So or whatever I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, it's important to recognize that as well, and like that is a very first world thing that we get to do when we are purchasing, you know, things that are a bit more expensive but a bit more environmentally friendly. But
Yes, and you know, you mentioned a lot of things and how easy it is for people to find it difficult to do the smallest things, and it's the smallest things that make a difference. So as you said, I mean, if you actually think about that giant thing that's existing in the middle of the ocean has been caused by little things everyone has done collectively, little things that they've thrown away in the trash we take for granted, that has managed to become this huge island of plastic because, as mentioned, we don't consider that our actions actually multiply when so many other people are doing it. And but as you said, I mean, how many people are taking the stand? How many people actually practice these sort of principles of, yeah, I'm going to use just metal straws, not the plastic ones, but they're going to use just metal straws. You know, those sort of things. So it's yeah, it's it's about making changes that help all animals, including turtles, because they're the topic of the story today. They started the whole straw thing, but it's quite a bit of a gloomy gloom. But yeah, let's move on to the next question.
The next question is that sea turtles often die from entanglement. Are there certain types of fisheries and certain types of fish more generally caught with techniques that specifically harm sea turtles?
I mean, anytime that there's a net that is like a standing net, like a net that I forget what they're called. There's a specific name for them, but people are just dropping the net and then just like driving away and coming back the next morning to check on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are going to be severe risks for
They're
entangling sea
lay
turtles.
nets. Sorry.
What are they called?
Lay nets?
Lay nets. And
Yeah.
so that's definitely a thing that you can look out for. I don't know specifically what type of fish would be caught in that or anything. Like I said too, if you're if you're purchasing line caught fish, that in general is a great practice. All these things are in general. I'm not giving you like wholesale 100% advice, but line caught things are caught one by one, typically reeled in, and there's very little risk of bycatch and overfishing really in that practice. So yeah, but those anything if you're like looking into it and you're like, oh, this is usually you know, caught using a lay net. Well, that's obviously a bad idea. But we've talked about it before. The Monterey Bay Aquarium has a seafood watch app. It is free, and they do all the research for you. So download that on iOS or Android. I sound like I am not sponsored by Seafood Watch, by the way. But that's a really great tool for people to use. You just type in the name of, like, if you're at the grocery store, oh, what's this? I think sometimes they even have like a little scan thing where you can just scan it or whatever, but you type in the name and then they'll be like, oh, this is a great option. You know, I think they have, I think they label everything by like green, yellow, red, like kind of categories. And that can be a great way to sort of discern whether or not something is sustainable and is, you know, sea turtle and marine mammal safe.
We're actually learning a lot here. I'm sorry, KP, for someone like, I don't know a lot about turtles. You actually are giving a lot of
I know.
information that I'm like,
This always happens. Where I'm like, I know absolutely nothing about turtles. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember all
Yeah.
these things that I
I
know
knew
about
absolutely
turtles.
nothing. And you walk away like,
A
holy
lot of
shit.
this was thanks to Reha for doing some research as well. But yeah, we haven't even gotten to my like firsthand turtle experience
Yeah,
because we've had sea turtles come through the rescue center.
because that
So
was my first question. How did we bounce around that?
yeah, I know. Well, I immediately when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that one time I rode a sea turtle and I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah,
Darn it!
the bad story. You know, let's. It wasn't so much a bad story. It was a story of learning, a story of experience. But yeah, tell us about an experience you've actually had recently, whether in the aquarium or not, with
Well,
a sea turtle.
we don't get sea turtles very often, and that's because we're in colder waters up here. This is the Pacific Northwest. Um, so um, so sea turtles are not supposed to be up here. They're a reptile, which means that they do not regulate their own body temperature in the same way that you or I do. So I don't think that they're. I think scientists are getting away from using the term warm and cold-blooded. But essentially they're ectotherms, and so that means that they need to uh, you know, basically have um, like movement and things like that, and then their ambient surroundings help affect their internal body temperature. And their body temperature, just like with humans, is very, very important to their life. But so sometimes when we get sea turtles, they're kind of coming up here on a warm draft from wherever. Hawaii, we're getting Reha's
Oh,
sea
there we go.
turtles coming
Yeah.
up here. And then
Probably.
yeah, and then all of a sudden that warm water is gone and they're trapped in an area that's very, very cold, and their body essentially starts to shut down. It's called cold
Oh
stun.
wow.
Yeah, and so anytime that we've had a sea turtle up here, it's a cold stunned sea turtle. And this is happening with increasing frequency, probably because of the unpredictability of climate change is really causing so many things that we can't possibly predict. And I really wish that we would all get over this pandemic so that we could go back to being angry about climate change. But like so the currents are becoming extremely unpredictable, and I think that that's part of what's happening is that in ways that didn't used to be, the animals are now finding themselves further up, and then it gets cold again, and they're trapped in an area that they can't really get out of, and
Mm.
not fast enough in any case, and then their bodies shut down, so then they equally, that's even worse. Now they really can't go anywhere or do anything, and so those are some of the problems that we see, and it's a really slow recovery process. Like, you can't just dump them into like a warm pot of water and then just like my Pug Mom says that it's the male turtles that aren't asking for directions that are the problem. I don't disagree. You're not wrong. But yeah, um you can't just instantly warm them up, because then you run the risk of causing a number of other problems. So you literally will like heat the water like a degree warmer like every day until
Mm.
they're back to their normal sort of water temperatures, and it takes them a very long time to regain their appetites, which is a problem because these guys need to eat in order to maintain, obviously not just their body condition, but their body water, their moisture levels, as they get all the moisture from the food that they eat. So yeah, so that's my personal experience with rescued and rehabilitated sea turtles, and it is something that places are seeing uh, with an increased frequency. Mostly, scientists attribute that to global climate change.
Yeah, I mean, something you mentioned there, how much our climate change just with 1 degree change in the water, 1 degree change, and I mean you just explained it now, just 1 degree, and a whole ecosystem is so badly affected. Obviously, you guys have been using it positively, but it's scary. Just 1 degree, people, and yet it's one of the most controversial, debated, polarizing subjects when it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's like driving down the road and your
Well,
car's overheating, and the old man in front's like, it's okay, we can go a few more miles. Like, the car's overheating. It's probably just the
yeah.
gas.
Well, I mean, yeah, and sea turtles too, like I said, like being that they rely very heavily on their environment for their body temperature. Like
Yeah.
1 degree makes a big difference for them. So.
Yeah, and that's what we're changing globally in our own oceans is the temperature of the water. So just some scary information, but hopefully it just makes
Some
people
nice,
more
just
aware.
some nice
Yeah, just
uplifting, like just our usual really light content.
yeah, absolutely. Just after
Um,
this, you're going to be eating food with shaky hands, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
now it's lunchtime. But this is part of the education process. If you don't scare people into action, sometimes nothing will happen. So we're not trying to scare you, no, boo!
Oh,
But it does
I
make an
was.
impact. I wouldn't actually give some more fries. But yeah, let's move on to the next question. Sorry, I'm actually processing this information live, everyone. I'm processing the information and I'm like, oh gosh, oh damn. So you're seeing my reaction unfold as with
So
you guys.
we do have some like heavier questions in this that were submitted, and I know that we're about like 15 minutes left for this, so we might end up going into a part 2.
I was going to say, hold on, we haven't got to the heavy questions.
Yeah, wait.
No, we have not gotten to the heavier questions yet. But yeah,
fine.
so
Yeah.
just
Carry on.
expect we're probably gonna hit a part 2 sometime. Okay, so the next question is actually in relation to the cold shock that happens to turtles,
Yes.
and it's who do you report this to
Good
when
question.
you find a turtle that's been hit with cold shock?
Oh yeah. So there should be organizations around that you can call, and I like this is going to depend greatly on where you're at. But especially in the U.S., you're never going to be too far away from a place that can help can come help out with these animals. So honestly, your best bet is going to be just a quick Google search of your area, and what organization you can call. You can even look at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association website, NOAA, or DFO if you're here in Canada, Department of Fisheries and Oceans. So yeah, I mean, there are so many places that are taking in these guys, and then usually what happens and what happened with us is like, because once you've rehabilitated the sea turtle and it is now a lovely temperature and its body condition is back, if you dump it right back out into the cold Pacific Ocean, you have done it no good. So what we will do is actually they get like a little first class flight down to usually a SeaWorld facility where they finish out their rehab and then get released into the back into the warmer ocean. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I like almost any facility that even does marine mammal rescue or anything like that will also take in sea turtles. In some places there are specific sea turtle rescues. So I think your best bet is going to be a Google search.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, a lot of you folks, obviously on the US side, are fortunate. You definitely have way more than normal. Gosh, I would panic. I wouldn't know what to do if I found a sea turtle. And we do actually have a lot of nesting grounds here and this is the one thing I do want to voice out, which I see all the time. I don't know what is the thing. If there's a sign to say don't drive on the beach, most of the time it's not because they want to look after the sand. It's because they're trying to preserve some sort of ecosystem, and most of the time it has been for turtles. And yet people think it's like don't walk on the lawn type of thing. It's like it's not a environmental.
It's actually a serious
yeah,
situation.
it's a serious thing because that is a habitat, that is an ecosystem that exists there, and so many people ignore it.
That makes sense.
Gosh, I've had a few rage things of climbing up the car. I'm like, I am not driving down this beach. I don't want to be part of the problem. Oh gosh, but yeah, that's sea life and ocean life, living by the ocean. I should have done more. But anyway, so you said we got about 15 minutes left. Actually,
let's keep
let's try.
firing ahead.
Let's just try and get like about 2 more questions in, and let's squeeze it in. If we need a part two, we need a part two. This is a very in-depth topic, and now that you folks all know what it's about, please now you can submit more questions to us, so KP can, so we can all do our research. But as we've,
It's like we should start betting on like if I know or if I don't know the answer to the question.
most of the cases you actually have known, so
Or at least I make it sound like I do. Like
yeah.
you maybe if you watch the VOD, you'd be like, oh my god, she totally twisted that around, started talking about something completely different, and somehow made me think that she answered that question. That's what's really
It's
going
actually, I'm
on
going to
here.
listen back on the VOD and see if you actually divert to environmental issues instead of answering the question specifically about the tortoise or the turtle. The turtle, sorry.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's probably what happened. It's okay, as long as you're all learning and it's for the greater good. But yeah, let's move on to the next question.
So the next question is, someone was saying along the coast around the barrier islands in New Jersey, there are signs which state turtles crossing. Most people stop their vehicles and allow the turtles to cross, but some people stop their vehicles, pick up the turtles, and move them across the road. And so, what is your feelings about people handling these turtles and moving them across the road?
Oh,
Which your expression says a lot.
really?
Wow,
No,
really?
I was actually just
Yes.
in thought. I was just in thought. No, that's interesting. They're probably tortoises, but whatever. But I feel like I don't have a problem with this. I think moving these animals off the road, I think can sort of objectively be thought of as good for the animal. I mean, I know that I'm a big like don't handle the animals, but like I mean, obviously we're talking about much smaller animals. We're not talking about giant loggerhead sea turtles that could like rip your fingers off. So yeah, I don't I like this. I don't have a problem with this. If you know see animals in the middle of the road and like they need help, then I think that you know it can be easily assumed that they need to be moved off the road, and
Hmm.
then you just put them on the other side of the road and move off. I mean, as long as you're not like sitting, posing for pictures, plopping them in your
Yeah. Oh my
car, driving them
god.
to like, you know, some
Taking that
other
15-minute selfie.
yeah, you know, driving them to some beach or something like obviously. But if you're just like literally picking up an animal, bringing it across the road where it was obviously trying to go in the first place, and then sending it on its way, I love it. I love this. I love this journey for us.
I will say this one thing. That's one thing that I'm like, yes, I agree with, because that's almost like a Kruger national pastime. I used to go there every year,
Yeah.
and every time you'll see people stop in the middle of the road and you wonder, and it's literally tortoises mostly, picking up the tortoise, moving it across. There's people that have moved porcupines across the hot road, and I'm like, are you sure
Yeah.
about that, sir? But we
Well,
have
I
to,
mean,
but they move it
I mean,
across.
like, yeah, I mean, you obviously have to exercise like some, like, I can't,
Yeah.
like, this is part of the thing. I cannot, like, be with you to make sure that you know, like, you know, common sense. Like, if it's a snake and its tail is rattling, don't
Yeah,
pick it up and
don't
move
pick
it
it up.
across the road. But yeah, I mean, like, if it's a turtle that's like struggling or a tortoise and
Especially if
like
the
slowly crossing the road, like, help it out, help a
Yeah,
brother out.
especially the road is actually
Um.
hot, so it's like you want to get it out of that
Yeah, or
discomfort.
sometimes what I'll even do, because I've done like similar things to this, is like because I used to work on a golf course, and we had a number of, they were actually rattlesnakes, and the golfers would kill them if they found them. So I would tell the golfers not, and just to call
Yeah,
me, and then they would call me out, and I would plop them in a garbage can and relocate them. And I obviously don't, I'm not recommending that you guys do that, because then you'll
yeah,
get bit by a rattlesnake and then you'll yell at me. But I was taking, you know, risks that was on me. But yeah, so I think like, or like, even if you like get out and like, you know, you see people get out of their cars and like stop the traffic while like,
yes,
you know, a goose and her
that
little
is so cute.
goslings are coming by and stuff like that. And like that's just being a good Samaritan, you know.
Absolutely.
As long as you're not stealing a gosling and then like
Yes.
taking it
Oh,
home and
hey, there were 5 when they started at the start of the road, and now there's 4. I have questions. But I mean,
yeah.
and obviously don't put it back on the other side of the road. See what direction it's going, because it's shame. Let's put it back. No. But we've
Yeah.
literally had people in the Kruger Park and that stop for dung beetles to make a trip across the road. So there's
Aw.
commitment, and then I'm like, what are we stopping for? And they're like,
they
look. And like,
they love all creatures.
yes, and I don't mind that, because I mean that dung beetle has, well, he's had a shit day and he's got his shit together and now he's going across the road. But I mean, I don't mind that sort of thing at all. But I'll put a video. There was someone that actually pulled over for a skunk that even the police pulled over and like, what are you doing over there? No, it's a skunk. And immediately it's like cordoned off area to make the skunk wait for it to cross the road. So yeah, that's again,
So, no, that was
little things.
a good question, because I know I have like a strong stance on like not touching
don't
animals,
touch. But I mean, there's
yeah,
especially on a
there's an
hot day.
exception. This is the exception that proves the rule.
Yes. You only, because you're not at the same time, this isn't sort of the relocation where you're taking it back inside or things like that. You're just helping it across the road like an old lady.
And like Peppercut is saying too, and this is what I kind of said in the beginning. Make sure it's not a dangerous turtle and don't grab it by the head. Because
most turtles
are dangerous.
Yes.
Like there are dangerous turtles. Like
The snapping turtles.
Snapping turtles will mess you up.
You'll come out with a lot less fingers. And you
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier on, when people were picking up the porcupine. I'm like, are you insane? Like, can't you just wait for it to naturally cross the road? Just don't drive through it. But yeah, even on my chat, don't play with poisonous snakes. Hey, we know KP's been a wild child. She's ridden turtles. She's picked up snakes.
Well, I was always a crazy animal lady, as you might have guessed, and so yeah. But like that, I never said I did it all right, and I definitely rode a sea turtle once, and I'm sorry. We talked about this. I was young. I'm sorry.
Did you have a nose ring?
I did not.
Okay,
no.
just checking.
No.
But yeah.
Anyway, that was a great question. I love it. Let's go.
Yeah, let's. That wasn't. Thank goodness. I thought it was going to be a harder question. And it,
Okay, so the next one is reptile eggs have an incubation temperature effect that impacts the gender of the babies that hatch.
Yes.
what? Tell me
so
more.
I did know this. I did know this. I didn't know I don't know the exact temperature. But yeah, so you usually hear about it in alligators, and it's kind of why alligator mothers actually, and crocodiles actually tend their nests, like they don't just leave them. So yeah, and this is why I was saying that, it's, yes, of course, like if you're harassing a sea turtle and then it leaves to go to a different beach, there are of course other beaches, but the problem is that the temperature of the sand matters. And they just leave them. They're not going to be like tending them or anything like that. So they dig to a very specific depth, and again, that's going to really depend on the beach. And this matters because at certain temperatures, like there's an ideal temperature where you're going to get a nice mix of males to females when they hatch. But if you go too high, you might get all females. I can't remember if it's all females or too high a temperature or all males, but one way or the other, that temperature starts to skew the sex of the eggs, which could obviously be an enormous problem for, again, a species that we've talked about. If you end up with all males in a batch, and that's going to be probably across the entire beach of all the sea turtles that laid their eggs there, well, then you're absolutely hosed in 25 years when those sea turtles grow up, and there are no female sea turtles. So.
Oh wow! So that's a whole other dimension to climate change as well, with the seawater warming and the beaches warming. Oh my gosh! Like, that's just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Is just if we know, is there anything?
Reha did the research here.
I do have the research.
I was going to say, because is that used in any way to manipulate breeding programs, if there are any turtle breeding programs?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. Well, I know that they do some artificial I'm not really sure. I mean, yes, but yes, this is widely known, and this is practiced in the.
Oh my
Look at if
gosh.
you. Sorry, my stream right now. This is interesting. This sea turtle obviously has some buoyancy issues, so I'm thinking this is a rehabilitating sea
Did
turtle.
you find a live
Um,
stream?
yeah, well, I don't know if it's live anymore. It was from
Oh,
Sea Turtle Awareness Day. But this is something that can happen with injury and a variety of different things. But basically, they get air pockets and then they're unable to dive. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to point that out.
they're like a reverse. So you
So
do know a lot about turtles.
I actually am a turtle expert. I didn't even know.
You know what? It's good to
Amazing.
come in here with managed expectations because if you know nothing, no one's gonna blame you. But if you know two things, you're an expert. But no, you've actually known a
Yeah.
lot. I'm sitting here going, like as if I'm selling like as if we're in an infomercial. The
So,
vacuum does what? Oh gosh.
Rayha, did you want to?
Yes, sorry, Raya, please.
The actual
research,
stuff, the actual
yes.
statistics.
Okay, so this is the actual like breakdown of how gender determination works for most turtles, alligators, and crocodiles. It is called temperature dependent sex determination, or TSD.
Oh.
And the research has
We've got
found
acronyms.
that turtles' eggs incubate at 81.86 degrees Fahrenheit. The turtle hatchling will be male if it is below 81.86 Fahrenheit. If the eggs incubate above 87.8% or degrees, Fahrenheit, it will become female. But the problem that they are finding is that because of climate change, sands on beaches are becoming much higher temperatures, causing a fluctuation which is creating more female turtles than male.
Right. So now I have a question. Okay, so I don't actually know the answer to this. No, I do know. Well, now that I think about it. So these guys have to actually breed. Like this is internal incubation or internal fertilization. So
yeah, so gender is determined after fertilization.
Oh,
during
wow.
incubation,
Okay.
gender
Yes.
is determined according
of
to the
course.
temperature.
Yes, but my more thing is like that. I'm just wondering how many females one male sea turtle can.
Yes, like if a
fertilize.
if a male
Because-
can lay his seed as they may.
Let's never say it that way again, please.
That's just bringing me back to the sea urchin. Like,
I'm sorry, I don't know why I
spray
brought
and
up
pray.
that. I don't know why I brought up that analogy. I'll tell you guys afterwards. But there's actual thing, and the difference between a woman and a man, which I'm not going to say here. But
Anyway, that was just a curiosity that
Yeah,
I was
like-
thinking of in my head. Like how many, or is it literally like one male sea turtle is like just as important as one female
yeah,
sea
like
turtle? Maybe that's
they
the case.
also mate like 7 times a year or
It's a
something
bit
crazy.
interesting because you would think that with climate change and the fact that the sands are getting warmer and you're starting to see more female turtles, wouldn't it be kind of safe to say that the male turtles are starting to kind of outweigh the females in importance? Because if you can't get the right temperatures to get males, they're just not going to be able to breed anymore.
Well, that's what I was wondering. That's why I was asking, because I don't know, but it sounds like it's very important to have like a near 50-50 ratio of males to females. So it may just be. Also, do they breed on land or in the water?
I'm trying to see. All I know is that apparently turtles mate
I
for
have so
several
many
hours.
questions.
Several
For several
hours.
hours.
I'm sorry.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. I'm telling you, that man is not going to another turtle after that. He's taking a break and having an energy drink because that.
Maybe that's it. Maybe the cost associated with that, the energy cost associated with that is like so that's what I'm just assuming that it would make sense to me is that if the males, like, this is sort of implying that the males are just as important as the females.
But yeah, I think
Which
that
I'm
would
not
be
used to thinking that way. I'll have to
because I was thinking it wouldn't be worse if it was males that were coming out in abundance versus females. But again, I don't know, as you said, don't know if a male can mate with multiple females in 1 year. But
Yeah,
again,
that's my question.
that's
Anyway,
yeah.
interesting. I'll have to look into
Rip Google history. How
We'll
do
have to
sea
Google that.
turtles mate?
Yeah. Anyway, do we have
um,
another question while I'm gonna explore it.
just by the way, they mate in the sea.
This is saying that
They mate in
females
the
will
sea.
mate with multiple males, storing sperm to fertilize multiple clutches of eggs.
See, now that makes no sense again.
Wow. Fascinating.
Damn. So the male
makes
doesn't mate with
sense.
multiple females?
Well, he must.
He
too.
must be mating with multiple females
Yeah.
if they're mating with multiple males and storing sperm.
And they
So
do.
that makes it sound like it's almost more important for there to be more males. This is just me sort of spitballing here without having any sort of scientific background in this, but that because like one male or like multiple males can provide a female with multiple
Yes.
different clutches of genetically diverse eggs. So and a female they obviously have delayed delayed fertilization, so they can kind of wait for that. So that explains why it's bad that the beaches are getting hotter, because the hotter the temperature, the more females you have. We did it. That's my hypothesis anyway.
Yeah, no, it's always going to be humans.
I'm not going to test it.
It's you can definitely say no matter what happens with the world, if it changes the way it shouldn't, it's our fault. It's humans.
Yeah.
Well, the ones who
what's
know the shelf life.
The shelf life of sea turtle sperm. It sounds like it's a couple months. A couple months. Yeah, and welcome to my channel. This is the only Twitch channel where we gurgle. Oh my god.
We gurgle, girl.
Where we Google, what sea turtles do with their sperm. So, for scientific purposes.
Yes, and
Anyway.
I just sent a screenshot to our Discord, not for public, because I have a whole thing here, and they make such good headings on how turtles mate. It's just that nothing here of how many times a female mates. It's just males will mate with any female they can. Oh, good news! Males will mate with any female they can. Not as many times with any female. They're not fussy people. They're not fussy.
Well, no.
They'll just mate.
They can't.
What
can't
bad
be,
wording?
because-
It's not. They'll mate with every female they can. They'll mate with any female they can, which means it doesn't have to be a
Typical
turtle.
Male.
It doesn't have to be a
Typical
turtle.
Male.
They can,
No.
no matter what it is, if it's female in the ocean, they will mate with it.
Any hoozle, we are so off. We were having such a lovely conversation about
Because
how
we
to
got
protect
into
sea turtles, and then I slipped up, said the word gurgle, and now we're
Yeah.
like way off. But
Well,
let's
if we're
let's
talking
bring
about
it back. Let's bring
poop
it back.
and mating, we're going to end up in that side of the show. Poop or mating, we will end up in that side. But yes, this article is terrible. But no, at least we know that much. And I've sent you
All right.
screenshots, and you can understand why later.
Perfect. What else do we got?
Okay.
Yo, what?
So-
Please have another question.
We do have 3 more questions. This one is going to be a bit long because it's asking for quite a bit of information, and it is about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill and what kind of damage it had caused. It definitely has put the Kemp's Ridley sea turtle at critical status, but they wanted to know what was data on their breeding population and the numbers affected and how
Oh my
many
goodness.
ultimately died in the result of this spill.
Oh boy.
I told you there was a heavy
Yeah,
one.
what a left turn.
So I don't know a lot of this. Obviously, this is very specific to the Kemp's Ridley sea turtle and a very specific oil spill. In general, there's a few things. First, they can actually inhale some of this oil, so they don't breathe underwater, but they come up to the surface and then they exhale and breathe in. That's not good for them, just like it's not good for us. And some oil will get into their system. They're swimming through areas where probably their food is contaminated with this oil, so they may actually be ingesting some of it as well. Again, not good. The other thing that's interesting is that ocean water holds a different temperature than like oil does. And this is a crude oil spill. It was the deep water horizon, I believe. And so again, then you're running into temperature issues with the sea turtles. So if they're actually having a hard time maintaining a higher body temperature, and that's a big problem for them as well. It's harder to swim through oil. Are some of the things that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else?
I did go through the NOAA website and
And then we're
took
not even
most
like
of the notes down.
because now we're not even talking about like the little nests on the shore where the oil is ending up too. So
yeah, and it goes into the sand and on the
sea turtle
eggs.
nests. Yeah, so that's not good.
If you guys are ready, I can actually read this off to you all.
Buckle up.
Hit us with the facts.
Yeah.
So the oil spill did affect from the open ocean to shorelines, and when this happened, the oil was restricting the turtles' ability to move and their ability to regulate their body temperatures. And they were also ingesting a lot of oil, which was extremely toxic for them. During that time of the spill, 300 oiled sea turtles were rescued from offshore areas.
Whoa.
275 turtle nests were collected from beaches under oil threat and taken into rehabilitation. Mm-hmm. These rehabilitated turtles and nests were relocated to the Atlantic coast, where 14,000 hatchlings, mostly loggerheads, were released. Information during the rescue operation and subsequent studies estimated that 4,900 to 7,600 large juvenile and adult sea turtles had died.
Holy!
Wow.
And between 56,000 to 166,000 small juvenile sea turtles were killed.
Oh my gosh.
An estimated 35,000 hatchlings were lost due to the effects of the oil spill, as well as the cleanup efforts which took place on the sea turtles' nesting beaches.
That is devastating.
That's awful. Yeah, and then like we talked about at the very beginning, then with that slow reproduction cycle,
yes,
and that slow recovery rate, that's why those types of things are such a
and
problem.
It's horrible to put it in this perspective, but if those numbers were of a calamity that took human lives to that degree, children, it would be on the news for years. It would be on the news for years. And because it's an animal, not a lot of people conceptualize that is basically close to like almost genocide of a species. I mean, thousands. It's not even like a little bit. And the amount that there was actually saved, good for them. We actually saved a lot. Pales in comparison to how many were actually destroyed. It's like the barely touched the surface. I mean, when you said 275 nests got rescued, I was like, wow, that's a big number compared to so many more. Damn, that's a lot of information. But
yeah,
renewable energy.
There you have it.
That one oil spill alone nearly made the Kemp's Ridley sea turtles extinct.
Wow.
Yep.
Can we all get our cars to run on potatoes?
Specialized species that really needs, like specific areas and things like that. And so if something is going to mess with that, like it's very, very VV bad.
VV bad. And people are like, don't drive a Tesla because autopilot's damaged. Does it take petrol? Is it damaging the environment? Well, it probably is because batteries, but still, that is a large amount of poor little turtles. And we're only talking about turtles here, folks. We're not even talking about the other animals that got affected by a human mistake. I mean,
oil spills are bad. Here's our boy again. He's having such a hard time. He's struggling. Our little sea turtle who's got a floaty butt. He can't. He just can't. Anyway, okay, sorry. This has been my interruption of.
Yeah, we just move on to something light.
But yeah, to answer the last part of that question about like how has the sea turtle population, if it's improved or not, they actually don't have any definitive research numbers out there right now because of a lot of climate change and the fact that these animals are so rare to see now that they just can't gather enough information, and so they expect that
Well,
it's going
that
to
sounds
be a
bad.
very long time.
No.
That sounds bad.
Yeah. There is a hawksbill site because they are critically endangered also. And there's a site for Hawaii where people send in pictures of sightings and they pretty much take whatever features they can find of these hawksbills and they document them. And the total currently is 288 hawksbills has been sighted in
Only.
Hawaii.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, folks.
Well, yeah.
And is
Anyway, there's your
Yeah.
stats. Where are my statisticians at? Doesn't sound good.
Would there be any benefit to having some sort of breeding program with this sort of thing? Like, I know we talked about the captivity thing and things like before. Like, in terms of sea turtles,
I just think the problem there is that that's so hard to. I think what organizations are doing is the best that they can, which is actually taking the eggs from the nests
yeah,
and incubating them that way and ensuring that at least some of these animals are making it into the ocean because like we said, 1 in 5,000 baby sea turtles is ever going to reach adulthood, but that doesn't even include, they don't even all make it into the ocean from their little nests. So
Yeah.
and then making sure that they've got the proper temperature to have an appropriate sex ratio is really important. So I think that that's probably the best that they can do. I think sort of if you were to take a bunch of these animals and like try to replicate conditions in which they would want to breed, ultimately, like how many yeah, it just doesn't feel like that would actually be a viable
yeah,
solution, you know what I mean? Like, and then you'd have to have like a beach for them to like lay their eggs on. Like it just
yeah, valuable points.
like artificially sort of maybe the solution is like providing like protected areas, and I know that like those are are so in vogue right now. But like providing those types of areas because it would just be so hard to replicate. I mean, like animals
Yeah, the logistics
that are,
behind it.
yeah, that just seems like it's maybe not even like worth the money when you could go out and dig up all of these nests and make sure that they're incubated properly and then make sure that they all do make it into the ocean. I think that that's maybe a little bit more of a viable solution, but
Yeah, I mean, those are valuable points, and that's a reasonable answer to a question like that. I mean, gosh, that's actually, it's a lot to take in this episode. I'm just saying, there should have been a part 2 because after this, I'm going to be carrying the rubbish outside with wide eyes.
Sea turtles, we're all learning.
Oh, and we actually have a sea turtle nesting ground right in front of me. Like literally, it's about not even 2 km away. I can walk to the beach, and there's sea turtle protected grounds there. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Now I'm gonna be visiting every day just to be like making sure, like, hey, Mr. 4x4, are you okay?
How many boys are in there? Yeah.
Going chasing after seagulls. Get away, Stephen! Leave them alone. They need a chance. Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Whew. Yeah. I must feel like, wow, this has been a good show. I actually think it's been one of our most, for me at least, one of the most like in-depth.
I always say that about my shows, though. I'm like, they're so good.
Of course you will. Did you see this show? That's so good. Speaking, goes on my side.
Do we have one more question, or
do we have?
We actually had one more question, and
let's go
was,
through
what
it.
are the best aquariums and conservation organizations for pioneering sea turtle conservation research?
Whoa.
That's the heaviest question of all.
That's a good one. I don't
Beth?
I don't know. Should we Google that?
Let's go to the gurgles. best.
Stop.
Turtles. I see what you did there, though. You mixed Google with turtle. Makes sense.
There's the Sea Turtle Conservancy. That feels like that would be good. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's going to depend locally. And these are places that you can obviously support if you feel really passionate about it. And there's going to be different places for, like, this one happens to be in Florida. I know that SeaWorld does extensive work with sea turtles. And these are all organizations too that are typically doing like out there doing the work that we were talking about, which is gathering up eggs and helping these creatures out in any way that they can, but also probably spreading information and stuff like that, which is kind of what we're doing about making sure that people are aware of these types of issues and things that people can do. I'm not sure about like organizations that are specifically trying to provide like protected grounds and things like that. But there are just so many organizations that are trying to help sea turtles. I mean, sea turtles are cute as hell.
They are.
So they have that in their favor. Nobody wants to help the ugly animals, but everybody wants to help the cute ones.
But it depends. Like some people will be like, "Oh, look, the spider's so cute," and I'm like, "Wait a minute." So I guess it's in the eye beholder. Except for platypus, there's something wrong with those creatures. They look odd. Someone here actually says Project Biodiversity. She apparently went on a vacation to Cell Island and adopted a turtle there through Project Biodiversity and named him Joey.
Stop. You guys.
There's a turtle out there named Joey.
So basically what you're telling me is that Joey the sea otter is also helping turtle conservation.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I think, well, let's be honest, we all here, and it all started with Joey. So Joey has been an ambassador he is truly a keystone species because he's helped so many. And now there's multiple animals with Joey's names. And if Joey was conscious about this, you should copyright his name. I have an adoption certificate.
I don't think you can copyright the name Joey.
No, or just his personality. Like, there will be no other creature named Joey. It's like, I'm the only
keystone meeper.
Yeah.
That's what my chat is saying.
If I can ask one last question, maybe this is something to think about, or if you can. Yes, alarm.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Hi there.
Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. My alarm was about to tell me the temperature. Sea turtle pets or turtle pets, good or bad?
Oh, like turtle pets. So you can't
Yes.
have a sea turtle.
Yeah, but you can have turtle
I
pets,
mean,
like
that would
swimming
be
turtle pets.
Not a great idea. Because the other thing with sea turtles, again, I know you didn't mean sea
Yeah.
turtles, but is that they are just programmed to just swim and swim and swim. It's kind of like hamsters. Hamsters are like there are actually like places in the world where like there are wild hamsters, and they are like meant to just run like all
Yes.
night long, which is why they actually have hamster wheels. And it might seem like a silly thing, but hamster wheels are legitimately necessary for hamsters because they just need to just run, and sea turtles are a bit like that. So they're just constantly always wanting to swim. So oftentimes that's why there's such a heavy current in this little pool here, is because they don't want them like just running into the walls and stuff like that, because they'll almost like swim themselves raw against any sort of like not smooth surface. But yeah, I mean, certain types of turtles and tortoises can be amazing pets. I know a lot of people that have African spurred tortoises and just absolutely love them. But they usually, first of all, these are very specialized animals. You have to take really, really good care of them, and they have incredibly specialized diets. And anybody who has and they'll live longer than you. And anybody who has like an African spurred tortoise, like they usually have enormous yards that the animal lives in. So the animal basically lives outside, and they just take care of it. But yeah, there are certain types. I mean, box box turtles, which are actually a type of tortoise, are like super common to own, but a lot of people don't realize that their diets are extremely specialized. They need extremely specialized temperatures. I actually took care of a variety of reptiles and turtles were among them in when I was working at the Denver Zoo. And we have to like they need like a uh I don't remember if we did it daily, but we certainly did it multiple times a week. Soak in water, because they actually need that in order to be able to like defecate and be properly hydrated. They don't just eat um like vegetables and fruits. They actually also need meat protein. So we literally
Ah.
feed them.
Oh, wow.
I think it was like once or twice a week. They get pinkies, which are like basically like newborn mice. And so if you don't have a stomach for that, like, maybe it's not for you. Uh yeah. So yeah, they if you do your research and you know how to properly take care of them, I think they can be really cool, rewarding pets, depending
Mm.
on the type. Some of those like aquatic turtles, you just have to like
Yeah,
I
that's the
used
one
to
I
have a
was referring
red-eared
to. Yeah.
slider, and you have to like clean their water and do so much on they're very
High maintenance.
um yeah, extremely high maintenance pets. And so yeah, so I mean, if that's something that you endeavor to take on, and you just want to like take the best possible care of some tortoises and turtles, then be my guest if you've done an enormous amount of research. But they are not just like a just like an easy peasy pet. They have a very specialized set of needs.
Is that not? I guess that's you can say that with most aquatic animals and also reptilian animals, and this is basically both. This is a combination of both. They both extremely high maintenance. But as you said, just make the right decisions. But thank you for answering that
Right.
question because there's a lot of famous YouTubers out there that have aquatic turtles at the moment, and we're on the subject, and it's something I thought we'd quickly cover. But thank you for that information. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's the same. We always talk about this with pets. Is just like do your research, and then most a lot of animals can. I'm not gonna say most, but a lot of animals can make amazing pets. But
mm,
every family and every household has different needs. So
yes, and you have to be an amazing person to take care of them. Like your
yeah,
ferrets,
I
they
know.
got pipes, they got things, and it's just amazing. Shh. I don't know why my alarm's going off. But thank you so much for yeah, we got through
That
all of
was
the
a good.
questions. Yeah,
That was a good chat.
it was.
Good chat. We
It
learned a
was.
lot.
But folks, you can catch the full VOD on KP side as well because my stream, as usual, decided to not cooperate. So if you want to catch the full VOD, because I think this will be a very interesting topic to revisit, you might learn something you didn't learn before listening, and you might actually catch something more informative there. But and no, Maddie, you cannot claim Katmai while I'm on an AMA. I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't think KP would stand for it. But yeah, are you going to be streaming after this, KP?
Yeah, I'm gonna stream for a little while longer. I've got some filming I've got to do, but
Ooh.
yeah.
Oh yeah, what's do you want to give us without spoiling it, what possibly
Yeah,
releasing in your
no,
next
I can.
video?
Yeah, so the next video, as many of you guys know, I was fishing, salmon fishing this past week with my family. So
Mm,
that's why the video didn't go out on Saturday. We instead did a bunch of shorts this week.
mm.
But we're gonna have a really interesting AMA. I hope you guys will come out. There's gonna be cameo otters, but I know it's not about otters, but come on. Um, but it's gonna be really, really cool, really, really beautiful footage that we have of the salmon run, which is
Ooh,
just like a massively interesting life cycle of a creature.
yes.
So I hope you guys will enjoy that, and then you'll be happy to know after that, if you promise to watch that video, I promise that there will be nothing except otter content until the charity stream on October 16th. We already have that planned, so it doesn't matter if you watch the video or not. But you should go watch it anyway. So then we're gonna be gearing up for our charity stream, and obviously that is surrounding otters, and so
What a fussy crowd.
So there will be a lot of otter content after that. So.
No. No, thank you so much. I'd like to also personally say thank you for. I only watched it afterwards. Your live reaction on that TAS Talks was hilarious.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely
that was so
loved
funny.
it. By the way, yes, to all your audience, Hardy isn't actually Australian because Australian's more like this. And it's a little more croaky. It's not like this. This is different. So.
What is he then?
No,
Or
but
we have to wait
that's
to
part
find
of the
out?
law. I mean, you saw his ponytail.
Oh, we don't know.
Saw
Okay,
his
he's
ponytail.
just hardy.
Yes, and it's a leather jacket he's wearing. It's not so much patchy, but it's hard to say that in a stream. Like, what kind of jacket?
It's fine. I'm just.
But
I kid.
I hope you like the ferrets in there. They were requested, so they're obviously beloved. But yes, for those of you that haven't, you probably already have. You can see the ferrets live now on KP stream. So go over there, and maybe you'll catch a ferret or two. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you again, KP. We will catch you next week, and we will look out for your videos. And Reha, thank you so much for your information and so much of the research you did. Like.
Yep.
That was
seriously.
I'm glad you better with everything, but yeah, my gosh, that was a deep episode. But yeah, everyone, over to KP side now. I've got to go. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Cheerio. Bye, everyone.